Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Dr. Rajkumar Academy for Civil Services. So let's begin this week's current affairs session. Let's have a look into the events that took place in the last week. So we have, of course, every week we'll be having a number of the popular narratives that we see, even continued from the past week as well. So which are what do you call as sometimes most of the times in UPSC the hyped up one, or maybe which is popularly seen in news, and if it is available or accessible to every aspirant, UPSC is less likely to ask it. So most of them which you come across throughout the week, definitely you might have come across the pattern. We take up the classes wherein what is being not read by you, or which is remotely not seen in the news, or maybe which you might have overlooked. So that is the task here, to present it to you so that you don't miss out any important news from the exam perspective. All right. So if you can give me some inputs, what all you have come across this week, what you can recollect, that would be great. I'll give you a few seconds and then we can start with the session. If I may add to the inputs. So this week we still have, from the polity aspect, Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill has been passed in Lok Sabha. Until we get more information, more narrative on that, we did not, as of now, we need not worry about it. And some news on 16th Finance Commission, which we have already seen in the previous classes as well. So these are all the hints wherein you have to always keep a tab on this static part of this topics. All right. So it may be 16th Finance Commission and its constitutional provisions, for example, or the Jammu and Kashmir reservation or reorganization, all these matters. But ultimately, it narrows down to what do you call it, the static part of the aspects. All right. So we will take up in this session, we'll be taking up the first topic as from history, basically. Recently in the news, a 2,000-year-old copper coins discovered at ancient site of Mohenjo-daro. So here the takeaway should be, again, it is just a news as of now, an excavation, what you can see. Apart from that, from the historical perspective, from the static part, what we have to focus is, there are 2 points here, or 2 aspects. One is Mohenjo-daro as a site or a historic site, and the other one is the Kushan Empire. Because in news it is mentioned, archaeologists have recently discovered a remarkably unusual cache of 2,000-year-old copper coins within the remains of a Buddhist shrine constructed at the historic site of Mohenjo-daro. So the site is Mohenjo-daro, which is in Pakistan, and the copper coins that were discovered are thought to date back to Kushan Empire. We know that the Kushan dynasty had spread across from northwestern India, including the current day today's Pakistan. So it had spread across entire North India, especially in this region, northwestern India. So it relates to here wherein these are cited, or these dates back to Kushan Empire. So for you, from the static perspective, what you have to look into is, what you have to revise is Kushan Empire and Mohenjo-daro. We can do it in the current affairs session itself, but again, going back to the static part, it will be overlapping. So anyway, you have a hint that what is the important terminology here, what is the takeaway from the news, and what you should study from the static part. Because we know that history, obviously static questions, whatever it is in the news, they go back to the historical perspective. So keep a tab on this. And definitely Indus Valley civilization or Mohenjo-daro, Harappan site, all these are a very, what do you call, as pet topics of UPSC. Definitely these are the areas directly or remotely questions can be asked. So you should be well aware of it. Okay. So I will just discuss or put up some of the Mohenjo-daro, regarding the points regarding Mohenjo-daro. So I'll give it to you to look back into Kushan empire, or the kings, or their contribution. And one more thing you can notice there, we'll go back, we can notice here, it was within the remains of Buddhist shrine. So the king who was popular in Kushan dynasty, we know the Kushan empire was Kanishka. So possibly the Buddhism that flourished during his time, and what do you call as his rule, his regime, all this can matter, or again it can directly relate to Buddhism. So from one article you can pick various static parts. Anyway, this is not something new to you. So these are something very repetitively been asked. You should be confident enough in these areas. No matter what, any question is being asked, I can answer. That kind of preparation is required. Okay, so a quick revisit or a quick revision for you all. So Mohenjo-daro, or Mound of the Dead, is an ancient Indus Valley civilization city that flourished between 2600 and 1900 BCE. Currently, it lies in, or today we spot it in Pakistan's Sindh province on the bank of the Indus River. So it was discovered in 1922 by R.D. Banerjee, an officer of Archaeological Survey of India. I'm just reading across. I know you can add more points to it. Okay, so at about 5 kilometers in circuit, it was the largest city of the Indus civilization, and it was built around same time as the Great Pyramids of Egypt. So the ruins were designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1980. More than this, you can add regarding the citadel, right, or the what do you call as the findings in this site, n number of aspects. Add more inputs to it. It is just a reason for us to look back to the static part. Okay, the news is very simple. Copper coins found at this site, which dates back to Kushan Empire. Indus Valley Civilization, Kushan Dynasty. These are the two takeaways from this news. Moving on. So, from geography, Indian geography part, we can consider this one. Paleoseismic investigations through earthquake-induced liquefaction features can trace earthquake history and prepare for future. Let me simplify this to you. Recently, researchers from Indian Institute of Geomagnetism have identified seismogenic liquefaction features in the active Kopili fault zone. So, what is the takeaway from here? Of course, the news has been published under the Ministry of Science and Technology in PIB, but the simplified version of it is recent investigations suggest that there is an active seismic or earthquake prone area in a zone called as what they have mentioned here as Kopili fault zone. Let's look into more details regarding Kopili fault zone, but hope you got the idea of the news. News is regarding identified seismogenic or seismogenic liquefaction features in the Kopili fault zone. So what is its importance? Why these investigations matter to us? Why it is really important when we identify such zones which are earthquake prone areas? How does it matter exactly? So we know that India is a country which is prone to a number of disasters, and earthquake is not an exception. So when we speak of earthquake zones, or the places where India is prone to earthquake, which are the prominent places in India where we witness earthquake or the possibility of earthquakes can happen? You can answer, you can interact, maybe on live, so I can also follow whether you're following the aspect. In India, mostly earthquake prone area will be North India and Northeast India. North India and Northeast India, and some parts of South India, but exclusively North India and Northeast India is more prone to earthquake. And also we know that Himalayan region, good. Himalayas are one of the, Himalaya is known for earthquake, and especially it extends to Northeast region as well. So this Kopili fault, what we are talking about, is in Northeast. All right. So apart from that, let me also ask you this: how many zones earthquake zones we have in India? It's been classified into how many zones or categories? Very good. Some part of Gujarat and Maharashtra also, definitely. Gujarat earthquake is itself is a example. So how many zones, how many categories we have? Very good. We have 4, and we say zone 5, 3, 2, 1. Correct? Zone 5, 3, 2, 1. See, pay attention wherein here it is not only about Indian geography. You should be knowing about earthquakes from the mains perspective as well, because under disaster management, twice or couple of times questions have been asked. At least if you look back, at least from 2013, last 10 years, twice or thrice, question is being asked on earthquakes. Of course, relating to NDMA guidelines, current earthquake prone area in areas in India, and how it is challenging, or what are the NDMA guidelines. So earthquake is a very important topic for your disaster management. Likewise, for prelims as well, from the geographical perspective, we should be knowing it. Yes, 5, 4, 3, 2. So according to the number, can we say that zone 5 is, or it is the high intensity zone, or it is what you call as very severe category, wherein we expect or we can witness a severe category or severe earthquake, what do you call as tremors or earthquakes, basically. So 5 is what we are talking about. So here we are talking about the same zone, Kopili fault zone, being categorized under zone 5. Okay, we'll speak about Kopili fault zone and what is it exactly, and why should we learn about this, why it is important, why this investigation matter to us. The reason is, it is about India's preparedness for any upcoming or future disasters, because disaster itself is unpredictable, right? Preparedness is part of disaster management. We, under disaster management, we try to mitigate disasters. We cannot totally stop the disasters. If at all we get to know these are the zones, these are the places wherein earthquake might happen, these are the earthquake prone areas, that would help us to, what do you call as, maybe in hazard mapping, or maybe for effective preparedness, so that loss and damages can be reduced or mitigated, which is the very objective of disaster management in India. That is the importance of these investigations. Okay, moving on. Seismogenic liquefaction features like multiple sand dikes and sand sills. So here it is not only about the current affairs part. The concept of dike and sill is your static part. What is a dike and what is a sill? Of course, it is a land formation, geomorphological formation. So dike and sill terminologies can be asked in match the pairs or simply a definition. Rather, you should be having an idea about it. Definitely, if you read your NCERT clearly, you'll have an idea about it. So these have been identified by scientists in an active fault in a northeastern region, as I've told you, called Kopili Fault Zone, which is known to have experienced larger earthquakes in 1869 and 1943. 1943 would be the recent one we can consider, right? So already the same zone have experienced large earthquakes, which is also been categorized under zone 5. That is the reason we are considering this investigation as very, very important. So let's look into some of the key points. Okay, hope you got the news, the very idea of the news here. Okay, igneous rocks, intrusive. Fine. So when we speak of Kopili fault, the fault itself is named after the river that flows here. Let's look into the map. You can, this is where, hope it is visible. Okay, in the northeast region, Kopili fault, where Kopili river flows. Okay, so it is in the tri-junction of some of the northeastern states, especially you can see it is part of Bhutan also, Assam, Manipur. Okay, so this is a river that flows here. This is where we find this fault, and this is an earthquake or a category of zone 5 area or zone 5. earthquake prone area. So it extends from the western part of Manipur to the tri-junction of Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, and Assam. So definitely, if already it comes under zone 5 category, which is a very severe intensity category, and moreover it extends from western part of Manipur to the tri-junction of Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, and Assam. And if at all, if there are, these are the regions which are more vulnerable. Of course, we know that when earthquake occurs, we have this P waves, S waves, body waves, surface waves. All this you will be having an idea. So depending upon the intensity, even if the tremors have been caused in Kopili fault, it can be felt in other places also in Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, and Assam, because it comes under zone 5. And these investigations and understanding the past events, we will be having better preparedness. Okay. And also it is closer to Himalayan frontal thrust. Already one of you mentioned that Himalayan region is also, or definitely it is prone to earthquakes. So it is part of Himalayan frontal thrust, wherein it does affect there as well. And this is a seismically active area falling in the highest seismic hazard or seismic hazard zone 5. So coming back to the news here, the takeaway should be, what all you have to learn in here is earthquake as a concept, as a terminology or a definition itself, static part. And the places in news you can consider: Kopili fault, part of northeastern region, where it is located, where it is identified. Okay, when it is shared to you as a PDF, you can zoom it and look into it, the map and all that, northwest, east, south. Okay. And regarding what do you call as disaster management, preparing for disaster management. This is the takeaway from this part. Clear with this? So moving on, we have other terminologies from the research here. The terms such as dike and sill, especially dike, right? Seismogenic or seismogenic liquefaction features, including multiple sand dikes. You can see the image here, how the dike is formed. Okay, sand sills were pinpointed in the Kopili fault zone. These are the geomorphological formation where it is identified in Kopili fault zone. To mitigate future earthquake occurrences in this zone, Kopili fault zone, scientists conducted investigation at 3 trench sites in the floodplain deposits of Kolong River near Kopili fault. There is one more river called as Kolong River. This crucial information aids in the interpretation of long-term rupture, history of faults, and intraplate seismicity or seismicity in the region. So that investigation helps in the further prediction. So in geology, a tabular, or you can see a sheet-like igneous body, intrusive rocks, somebody mentioned, igneous body, that is often oriented vertically or steeply inclined to the bedding of the pre-existing intruded rocks. There are intruded rocks, and there is a vertical oriented or a steep that we can see a formation between either of the rocks. And this dike, this narrow slit, what you can see in here is called as dike. And studying this, they have identified the zone, Kopili fault zone. Clear with this? So this is what is the takeaway from the news. And go back to your static part, understand what are dike, sill, and other formations also, land formations, and earthquake. Clear? So moving on to the next one under governance, Arogya Maitri Aid Cube governance. So the world's first portable hospital, called as Arogya Maitri Aid Cube, was unveiled recently in Gurugram. So the world's first portable hospital. So that is a pride, right? So what is it, this portable hospital? How a hospital can be portable? What is the idea behind this? Let's see. So it is designed indigenously under Project BISH, that stands for Bharat Health Initiative for Sayog, Hita and Maitri, basically under Ministry of Health. So Project BISH is regarding health, remember that. So the modular trauma management and aid system is made up of 72 detachable mini cubes. It is quite unlikely for you to imagine as of now, but look, let us understand the working as well. But remember, it is this Arogya Maitri Aid Cube is being launched under a project called as BISH, and it is a portable hospital which consists of 72 detachable mini cubes, each of the cube being a specialized station for emergency response and humanitarian efforts. It is like a kit for a emergency condition wherein everything in it is possible, wherein it can open up. So let's see how it works. Okay, so this is world's first portable hospital called as Arogya Maitri Aid Cube. So this works in a way. What are its features? Let's see. So it has a medical capability, that is, it consists of mini ICU, operation theater, blood test equipment, and X-ray machine, capable of handling severe injuries, that is 25 major burns, long limb fractures, chest injuries, spinal injuries, and 10 head injuries. So it is a box, it is a cube, which consists of everything, every what do you call as facilities possible, which has been packed and which has been held in a cube. Okay, it looks very smaller here, but when it is under execution in the future upcoming days, we will know its implementation and how it works. But as of now, understand the features. So this one box, it's been carried in a drone, you can see that is one cube. So likewise, we have 72 such cubes. So capacity and resources, it can treat up to 200 patients, equipped with a cooking station, food, water, and power generator for self-sufficiency. So every cube is made up of what you call as all the facilities well equipped inside it. Okay, and as it is portable, you can see the entire design of the cube. This medical cube is inspired by Rubik's concept. I have put up the picture also so that you have an idea. Hope all of you have seen it, played with it, or solved it. So this concept is inspired from the Rubik's cube concept. Each cube weighs less than 20 kilograms for easy manual carrying. So it is all about unfurling. It is like when you go on a hike, you carry a tent which can be folded, right? Likewise, a portable bed and what do you call as a tent and a blood test equipment, what all it is possible, a medical kit, everything will be packed in one cube. So this is called as Arogya, what do you call as Arogya Maitri Aid Cube. Okay, Arogya Maitri Aid Cube, which was recently launched here. Until it is pan India, will be like some obscurity will be there. But apart from that, just have an idea about the project Beesh and what is it exactly. Clear with this? This can be part of governance or even health, science and tech also, basically. The next under governance we have is National Automated Fingerprint Identification System, what we call as NAFIS. It is quite an older system, but recently it was seen in news. There is a possibility question can be asked because it also has its own importance in crime detection. So what is it exactly? What is this fingerprint identification? Let's look into it. So recently, the Minister of State for Home Affairs informed the Rajya Sabha that the NAFIS, National Automated Fingerprint Identification System, has been established at 1,022 locations across the country. It is just the data given recently. Though the data is given, we have to look into what is it exactly. One should know, right? Being an aspirant, what is the system exactly? What are its applications? How it is useful? Let's look into it. So this system, it is a pan-India searchable database of crime and criminal related fingerprints. Okay, it is a database basically. NAFIS identification system is a database. It is managed by the Central Fingerprint Bureau at the National Crime Records Bureau. Even NCRB from time to time updates the report. Number of crimes that is happening in India, whether it is increasing, decreasing, that was also seen in news recently. NCRB, correct? National Crime Records Bureau. So this will be managed by NCRB, this system, entire identification system. It functions as a central information repository by consolidating fingerprint data from all states and union territories. Whose fingerprint are we talking about here? It is about the offenders, criminals, or who are already part of some other crime in the past. So it is a repository of their entire details, right? So it enables law enforcement agencies to upload, trace, and retrieve data from the database in real time on a 24/7 basis. So it is easy to match if at all the crime has reported elsewhere, or within the given database, to check whether the same offender have been or committed the crime, or other related aspects can be easily recorded or easily traced. So with the help of this, it is possible to, you can say, to locate a person of interest in a matter of minutes and connect that individual's name to any active warrants, warnings, information about related criminal conduct stored in other police information reference system. It need not be always offenders. It can be anybody which who are part of the crime, right? Relate remotely or directly or indirectly, who are part of it. Immediately it can connect, so that the investigation becomes easier. So this kind of system we have in India, which is managed by NCRB. This is how it works. All right. Now more detail about it. It assigns a unique 10-digit national fingerprint number for each criminal based on biometrics. Of course, we know that fingerprint are part of biometrics. So it assigns 10 unique 10-digit national fingerprint number called as NFN. It will be assigned there, and it is easy to search as well. So the unique ID will be used for a lifetime of an offender. Once an offender, it will be stored. So it is not to tag some offender as a lifetime offender or for eternity or something, just to manage the data. You may never know, we may never know whether the same offender would commit the other crime as well, or it is related to some other criminal activity. That is the reason this has been given. Once it is given, it remains. No changes. And different crimes registered under different FIRs will be logged as incidents belonging to the same NFN. So along with this NFN, what all crimes registered related to this person, incidents, every detail will be added in this repository. The first 2 digits of the ID will be the state code of the state where the criminal is registered, followed by a sequence number, which is easier to identify even further. So first 2 digits will be of state number. Every state will be given a code, and that is how it starts. And the state partition will have IDs belonging to a state. If a partition is already been done, so that will be IDs belonging to a state. There will be one more other ID will be given. So that will also be collected. So obviously all the details of an offender will be collected. So this is really important at these times wherein crimes are increasing, any sort of crimes are increasing. It is easy to trace, so that justice is provided to the victims. That is the idea of Nafis. Clear with this? You can add more inputs to it. So just having an awareness is very, very important about this area. Now, moving on. We will also know about some details about NCRB because it is in the news, because this is part of NCRB itself. Some details about it. So National Crime Records Bureau was established in the year 1986 to act as a repository of information on crime and criminals. Have you come across this detail, the recent report? Reports will be there in the news. NCRB will publish a report wherein number of crimes that has been committed, whether it is increased, decreased, under what field crimes are committed. All this will be published by NCRB. Okay, so this institution its bureau is under MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, and also there is a background for it. It is set up based on the recommendations of Tandon Committee. Sometimes committee names will be asked, and what is it related to? So Tandon Committee, the National Police Commission and the Task Force of the Home Ministry combining, this paved the way for the establishment of a National Crime Records Bureau. So it is responsible for collecting and analyzing crime data, as well as serving as a repository of such information to aid investigation in tracing crimes and criminals. Hope it is clear. The concept is clear. NAFIS is an identification system. NCRB is an organization. Then, moving on to the next one. We can bring this under science and tech. Hope you are able to follow. If you want me to slow down, please let me know. basic points, what exactly, how much we have to delve into it, that is enough. Not too much, not too less. Just right, just apt. Okay. So voice over 5G. What is this concept? It was recently in news. And why should we consider this particular news? Because the concept of Vivo LTE, voice over long-term evolution, was already asked once in news, or sorry, in prelims. So definitely once we have a hint, we have to take it up. We have to give some importance to it. There are chances wherein remotely related to these questions can be asked. So Reliance Jio, India's top mobile carrier, is reportedly conducting behind the scenes, as of now nothing. It is just a report that trials of voice over new radio, VONR technology, is happening, or the research is going on as of now. So voice over 5G, also known as voice over new radio, VONR, or voice over 5G, one and the same. Remember, 5G, we are talking about fifth generation technology, or 5G, is probably the future of voice calling. Voice calling, internet calling. We use 5G, or calling basically, phone calls. So today we started from all the way, started from G, first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. Today we are using fifth generation. India is already on the go when it comes to fifth generation. And what is this voice over 5G, and what is its future, and when India is getting it? That is what the article is all about. We had it on Indian Express. This article was on Indian Express. So this standard allows voice calls over 5G networks instead of the current standard that uses 4G. Now, whenever we switch to one generation to another, what we come into an idea wherein, what do you call, its speed, its fastness, or we always want, we have lost patience whenever it buffers, any video buffers, any call has been poor quality. Definitely we become more impatient, so we are getting used to it, this speed internet, speed processing, right? So we are on in that mode. So definitely, as per the need, consumers or the customers need, technology is also aiding or helping or assisting. So that is why we are moving on, we are evolving in the technology like this as well, especially in the voice calling. So we will look into it, the basic features of it. Okay. So when we speak of VONR, before that we have to know what is this Vivo LTE. I'm sure that everybody on your phones, this what do you call, a symbol, or this one VOLTE can be seen. Yes or no? In our day-to-day life, UPSC proves time and again, wherein it is given in the syllabus. Under science and technology, applications of various scientific developments in our day-to-day life. It what do you call, as it stands on its words, and the question will be asked on that only, where we usually overlook. We'll be learning some advanced technology, some what do you call, as space science or rocket science and all that. Obviously that is also required, but it narrows down to basic concept, what we see in our daily life but we overlook. So already question on VOLT is been asked. We know that VOLT stands for voice over long-term evolution. Utilizing IMS technology, it is digital packet voice service delivered over IP, internet protocol, via an LTE access network. Today, each one of our phones will be having this. And evolution, if we are talking about switching from one generation to another. What happened with the computers? Same thing with the voice call. Same thing with the telecommunication sector. Now, speaking of VONR, why VONR is better than what we are currently using? Better than Vivo LTE. So 5G's enhanced bandwidth and lower latency compared to 4G. So bandwidth is enhanced, and compared to 4G it is faster, and it promises faster call connection times. Immediately it connects, there is no beeping. These are all the promises of 5G. Okay, when it's coming, it takes time. It is not yet, it is not been what do you call, as rolled out, but as of now we are expecting shortly regarding this VONR. So VO 5G aims to eliminate the notorious call drop issues. Usually call drop is one problem. particularly during transitions between 5G and 4G. In some areas, you will be able to access 5G. Not in all the areas you'll be getting 5G, even though you have switched to 5G or even though we have it. Hope you have come across, right? So this will enable all this call drop issues and transition when takes place from 5G and 4G. All this can be resolved is what the promises are made here. Then lower packet loss contributes to better reliability, minimizing the occurrence of voice cutouts during the calls. Packet loss in the sense the data we lose, and also voice cutouts we say the voice breaks, right, while we talk. So that is also being tackled when we are going to have VoNR. So better technology, advanced technology. Very simple concept, just to know the idea behind this. Okay, so this is what we have under voice over 5G. Okay, if you get this detailed article, you can look into it. As of now, it is just a speculation. What is that? Reportedly conducting behind the scene trials. Trials are going on. So until it is rolled out, just having an awareness is enough. Then the next under science and technology is Google's Gemini. So Google's Gemini is here, but it is is it better than ChatGPT is the question. So today ChatGPT is a buzzword, right? In this era, especially for anything and everything, questioning ChatGPT, deriving answers, it's a common thing. But there should be a competition in any industry, obviously in technology as well. So ChatGPT had a kind of monopoly, if we say, over the at least past 1 year. So when we see this, Google has rolled out one more powerful AI artificial intelligence model, that is Gemini, or it has announced the launch of its latest AI model. So the features, or simply here and all, UPSC will not get into the details of it. Just to know what is this Google Gemini all about, whether it is AI model, whether it is rocket, or whether it is some satellite or whatever. Different options can be given. You should be knowing what is what. So Google Gemini is available to users around the world through BART source, some developer platforms, and even the new Google Pixel 8 Pro phones. Under the Google company, we have it. So Google claims that Gemini is capable of understanding, explaining, and generating high quality code in popular programming languages. So to tackle the competition with ChatGPT, this has been rolled out. As of now, it is available only to specific users, not everywhere. But in future days, there is a possibility where it can be available. And this is about AI model. Of course, artificial intelligence itself is a very important area from your mains perspective as well as prelims perspective. So even if there is a question asked on AI, if it is relevant, these examples can be taken up or written down, right? So ChatGPT also has some limitations on it of its own. So you get specific information of a specific timeline. You would not get how many, like which years when it was rolled out. Before that, any information being asked, it is less likely to get, and most of the information you have to recheck also. Re-authentication is it really matters. So one cannot rely totally on this artificial intelligence. We have to source out for other information also. But mostly this has become a blessing in this generation, wherein it is making our searching or browsing easier and better, or explanation, be it anything. ChatGPT is like a sole performer, we can say. So to tackle that competition, we have Gemini. So what are the key points? What are the features we will see? Google claims that Gemini is capable of understanding, explaining, and generating high-quality code in popular programming languages. One of the features. It can understand and explain, generate high-quality code in the world's most popular programming languages like Python, Java, C++, and Go. This is what the features have been given. Just for the sake of reading it, I'm reading. You need not worry about exactly, but even I have sourced out some of the important ones. Too technical details is not required. An idea, what is what, that idea one should be having. It comes in 3 sizes, the yet to be launched Ultra, Pro and Nano. Ultra will be the highest or top end model of this artificial intelligence model. So it is available now only to select customers, developers, partners, and safety and responsibility experts for early experimentation and feedback. So it is still under experimentation and feedback, not completely rolled out. Maybe the bugs has to be fixed, and it has to be checked whether how well it works efficiently. Only then it becomes popular. So this is about Google's Gemini, right? Then moving on with the next under science and tech, that is what the World Malaria Report says about India. Being this term, this concept malaria, questions on, especially why we should be looking into this kind of news, because questions on eradication of certain diseases from India, be it malaria, polio, various diseases, and where does India stand? That really matters. So questions can be asked in that way. That is the reason we are looking into it. Of course, it is about this malaria report is for the worldwide, it is global. But where does India stand? That matters to us. Simple question can be asked whether it is decreasing, increasing, eradicated, not only malaria, diseases. That is how the pattern of the questions we see. Now, of course, we know that the pattern of this, what do you call it, the statements is being given, and you have to, what do you call as, check whether the statement 1 is right, statement 2 is correct, or whether it is the right explanation of the statements. This is the pattern as of now. So factually knowing things really matters. Okay, factually in the sense you need a conceptual clarity is one thing, and exactly what does mean. You cannot speculate, especially in this pattern. Statement 1 is correct or incorrect. You should be knowing whether it is correct or not. So once you read something, once you are reading or learning something, with some shortcut, some acronym, some stories you can connect to, make sure that you are going to remember it, that fact. You're not going to forget that fact. Of course, remembering the facts is quite difficult. It is surreal. But we know that specific terminology, specific areas, UPSC repetitively asks. So in that area, you do not take a risk. Don't take a chance. Know the things factually, which should be accurate. Okay. So in news, we have the recently released World Malaria Report by WHO shows that the number of cases and deaths due to the mosquito-borne infection in India have continued to decline. Continue to decline, not increase. Okay. Cases and deaths. With an estimated 33.8 lakh cases and 5,511 deaths, India saw a decline of 30% in malaria incidence and 34% in mortality in 2022. So 30%, 30 odd percent, it has been reduced. The incidence has been reduced compared to the previous year, that is 2021. So 2022 report it is published in 2023. So what we can see, the highlight is in India, the incidence of malaria is on decline, has continued to decline, which is a good news. It is not that completely we are free from malaria. Remember that, just declining in cases. What are the 5 takeaways from the report? Let me just read it for you, just the factual thing. Just let us look into it. So India saw a 30% decline in malaria cases and 34% decline in deaths in 2022 as compared to the previous year. So 34%. Cases 30%, deaths 34%. Then globally, there were 5 million additional malaria cases in 2022 as compared to the previous year. So it is less again. Of the 5 million additional cases, the highest 2.1 million was from Pakistan that had a flood in 2022. So it is the total. Globally, we had 5 million cases, wherein 2.1 million was from Pakistan only because of the flood that took place in 2022. This is also one of the highlights of the report at the global level. Okay. We also should know where does our neighboring country also stands. India accounted for 1.4% of total malaria cases in the world, which is quite minimal when compared to the global level. It is quite minimal. India accounted for 1.4% of the total malaria. Again, the same thing is repeated anyway. Cases in the world. So this is what do you call as the takeaways from the report. So remember, decline in malaria, and we have 1.4% total malaria cases. And what else? Pakistan, why it almost have 2.1 million. So globally, we have 5 million cases. So malaria is a serious threat, serious issue. Still, India is doing better comparatively when compared to, or comparatively of the last performance last year. So apart from that, we have to look into some other key points which was mentioned in the news on the article. So India's success is credited to, it is quite a success wherein we are seeing this decline. So why or how India made it possible, or how it made it possible? So India's success is credited to prioritizing primary healthcare in remote areas. So primary healthcare centers in remote areas are more established and promoted, utilizing digital data for enhanced surveillance, for malarial, maybe for what you call as identifying the locations, spots. We are using digital data, effectively handling extreme weather events such as cyclones, according to experts. According to experts, one might say now we have this cyclone Michong. Every year there will be cyclones, northeast, southwest, or especially this is the time wherein we every year there will be one cyclone or one or more cyclones. So India has quite a preparedness for cyclone. Notice that it is not that every year cyclones happen, deaths happen, or loss and damage happens, because we have a well robust, strengthened hazard mapping system, early warning systems in the coastal regions. So because of this, over a period of time, we have improved a lot. This has led to effective handling of the cyclones, wherein whether it is flood or cyclone prone area, people will be relocated, especially the fishermen will be relocated, villages will be given required necessary medical aid. Because of all this, it was possible, wherein what do you call as we can credit India's success because of all these activities. Apart from that, utilizing what we have to do as of now, utilizing preventive measures, more preventive measures should be brought in, controlling mosquito populations, employing quick diagnostic tests, and managing malaria effectively. These are the crucial practices we have to do. Maybe when it comes to mosquito repellents, or how the government uses various methods, sometimes it can be a threat also. In the last class, if you remember, we discussed about a species wherein some of the state governments such as Odisha, Punjab, all these states are still using a mosquito control method by using one more species, which is that fish, if you remember, which is actually a invasive alien species, but still which feeds on mosquito larvae, and can be considered as managing the mosquito population, or in the pest control, population control, which is that fish. Can you recollect and tell me? Yes, remember Gambusia fish? Gambusia. Though it is a, what do you call it? Though it is a, it has turned into invasive alien species, but it is still an effective method. The state government say that we can tackle the population of mosquitoes. Okay, so guppy fish is also used. Yes, guppy is also being used. Apart from that, which we saw in the news last time was Gambusia fish. Okay, which has turned into invasive alien species. So another challenge is Vivax malaria, which accounts for 40% of malaria cases in India. The Vivax plasmodium is known to hide in the liver and cause recurrent infections. This is quite a challenge as of now for India, because difficult to trace it, as it hides in the liver and cause continuous infections. But apart from that, India also has taken some of the measures, wherein malaria vaccines have been in development for almost 60 years. And also the first approved vaccine is RTS, yes, also known as Mosquirix. So the WHO recommends 2 malaria vaccines as of now. It is not that India has done, WHO has recommended this. So we have some solution for it as of now. And India, apart from also utilizing this vaccine and also making use of all the technological aspects, prioritizing primary healthcare with its various health schemes and programs and awareness programs, this is why it is under decline. Correct. So you might have encountered the health inspectors visiting every houses and creating an awareness. So all these are part of primary healthcare in remote areas that is happening, especially in the flood prone area. Yes, especially in the flood prone area, or what do you call as which are slum dwelling regions, people who are dwelling in slums, or maybe near the water bodies. All these are the areas which are more prone to the disease, but a long way to go. But one thing is, we can see it is quite a success. Correct. So moving on, remember the approved vaccine, the first approved vaccine as well. Okay. Now, there is ongoing COP28. We are getting a number of outcomes or news regarding it, but some of them, as much as possible, what all we come across, the highlights of the COP28, we will follow through. Once it is done, and final highlights where India stands, that only matters. But as much as possible in every week, or maybe in the coming week, even if it is there, we'll follow it. Okay. So in the news, it is all over. Excuse me. So in the news, it is all over. We can see that COP28, what did India say? What are India's initiative? What are the other countries doing? G7 countries, G20 countries, some initiatives. That is all. These are the things we see. Correct. So as much as possible, which is relevant to India, and what do you call us, the major ones at the global level also, we have to look into it, certain terminologies. Now, let's speak about Mars, the methane alert and response system. So in this COP28 that's taking place in UAE, has alerted governments of 127 plumes spanning 4 continents. That means methane, emission of methane is what the discussion here. Now, this is according to, it is said that 1,500 plumes, in the sense, the sources of emission of methane. So it has notified many governments regarding, we have to try to, what do you call as, reduce the emission of methane or completely avoid the emission of methane. It is less likely to happen, but there is a possibility. Carbon dioxide, anyway, it is a part of natural biogeochemical cycle. Anything that burns, anything that decomposes, carbon dioxide is emitted. Likewise, methane also. Methane also. But why are we more worried about methane as of now when compared to carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is already a menace. It is a threat. It is a problem. But methane is more potential, more potent greenhouse gas, we can say. So the recent report given by UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program, released at 28th Conference of Parties, has said so that notifying the countries that we have to, they are that alerting and respond also, so that try to reduce the emission of methane caused by anthropogenic activity, because it is quite powerful when compared to carbon dioxide, and also it persistently stays in the atmosphere for a longer time. Initially, it is not a trouble, but when we compare the persistency of the methane in the atmosphere, it is quite a trouble. It is more potent than carbon dioxide. So in future, there can be more threats. So we have to shifting the focus to methane. That was being discussed here. Question, can they go back to the basic idea of what is methane, or this Mars, what is this methane alert response system and all that? Okay, even if you remember in the last class, we also have discussed global methane pledge as well. Global methane pledge, that is also part of tackling methane emission. But only thing is, the takeaway from that global methane pledge is India is not part of that global methane pledge. What is the reason why it is not part of global methane pledge? Because India says that India being an agricultural country, and methane emissions are mostly from the agricultural area. We cannot rule out agricultural paddy fields in total. So that pledge is not possible. Part of the pledge is not possible for India. So it has not joined global methane pledge. And that is different. This is different. Okay. This is this is under UNEP. Remember. So which was also discussed under COP28. So here, it is a data to action initiative with a mission to put open, reliable and actionable data into the hands of individuals who can reduce methane emissions. Basically, and it is an action initiative wherein individuals are told in what way methane emissions can be reduced. Methane, it is not only because of agriculture, it is also being emitted because of livestock rearing, right? Anthropogenic activities, industrial emissions, and all that. So, as much as possible, what is possible by the individuals and the countries, it has to reduce. That is the idea of this Mars. It was announced at COP27 last year, not this year, last year, and began its initial pilot phase in January 2023. It uses satellites to scan the globe for major emission sources and alert the countries and companies so that they can take methane action and accelerate progress supporting the Paris Agreement and global methane pledge. So how do this happens? It is under UNFCCC only, the same COP itself, because last year it was announced. And how do they tackle this? They scan the globe or through the satellite imagery and information. They understand which are the countries are emitting more methane, and it alerts them to take some action on it, which also supports the Paris Agreement and global methane pledge. So it is part of this. Everything is one is connected to the other, we can say. So this initiative works in partnership with the Climate and Clean Air Coalition and International Energy Agency. This is like a coalition. There is one organization, and IEA is there. So international level organizations are less likely to ask, but some idea what is this IEA and all you should be knowing. Maybe the reports. Just look into it. What are the reports that IEA publishes? There will be one question like that. Maybe last year we did not see that, but there will be one question on the reports that is being published by global organizations that you always have to have a list. Okay, so these are the key points regarding Mars, and let's look into data wherein the graph wherein which are the countries have what you call as emitted methane emission, which are the continents basically emitted methane over a period of time. And according to the recent report, especially in 2022, you can see North America has the highest emission, total reported emission. Then comes Asia and the Pacific. Then we have Latin America and Caribbean. Then we have African, Middle East nations, Central Asia also. So Central Asia are very low, very less. We can see the industrial activities, commercial activities, agricultural activities is quite common in North America and Asia and the Pacific. These are the two regions where global methane emissions are more, or major emissions we can see. So this is a report that will be published, and they will be alerted under the scheme or the program called as Mars Alert and Response Program. So in general, when we go back to the basics of methane, what is methane? Methane is one of the methane is one of the greenhouse gases. Comparing methane and comparing other greenhouse gases, you can see we are all worried about carbon dioxide. But when we look into the other two greenhouse gases, how much of carbon dioxide molecules is in methane is CH4, correct? So nitrous oxide also molecules of carbon dioxide. So 28 molecules of carbon dioxide, that is more than carbon dioxide itself. That is why we are worried about this methane as a potent greenhouse gas, which is a hydrocarbon. And it is a primary component of natural gas. Methane is the second biggest cause of global warming caused by anthropogenic activity after carbon dioxide, and it is 80 times more powerful. So which are the areas where methane is being emitted? Energy sector, agriculture sector, and waste sector. Why waste sector? Because when the waste is decomposed, what is being emitted after the decomposition process? Carbon dioxide and methane. So if waste is not tackled, that itself is enough become making the sources of methane. Agriculture, paddy fields. So primary emitters of methane are these, and they are responsible for 30% of the Earth's warming. Some basic details about methane. In general, you should be knowing about methane, like a basic concept, or global methane pledge, whether India is part of it, what is India's stance and all, can be asked in the statements. So you should be careful with that. Okay. Moving on with the COP28 itself, we will have a continuity. So green credit initiative is all over in the news as of now. Green credits, green credit initiative. What is this exactly? Why it is in news, we will see. So recently, the Global Green Credit Initiative, launched by India's Prime Minister at COP28, focuses on incentivizing is the term here, voluntary environmental action by the people, by the individuals, or by the companies or the industries. So incentivizing in the sense, monetizing. So if any person, any individual or a company takes up an activity which addresses the global warming issue or the climate change, that person, that individual or a company will be incentivized. Okay, incentivized or monetized. So this is the very idea of what do you call as at the Indian level, and this was launched by the COP28, because last year we started this in India, or launched, and this was one of the expected initiative from India, and it is launched recently in the COP28, and that is Green Credit or Global Green Credit. GGCI stands for Global Green Credit Initiative. Is also referred as Global Platform for Nature's Ecological Transformation. So that you should be knowing the other alternate names as well. Global Platform for Nature's Ecological Transformation. It is one and the same. Global Green Credit Initiative. Or at the national level, we say Green Credit Initiative. Because it is launched at the COP28, it is called as GGCI. Okay, let's see the idea behind this and what are the key points. What exactly is Green Credit Initiative? So the Green Credit Initiative was first introduced last year by the Ministry of Environment, that is MOFCC, on October 13, 2023. So sorry, last year, I'm telling this year, because we are almost like entering into next year. I'm speaking of last year, 2023, 2 months back. Okay. So Green Credit Initiative was first introduced in October. And the idea in here is two main priorities of the initiative is water conservation and afforestation. Now the individuals or the corporates or the companies or the industries, anybody who focuses on, who takes up water conservation, yet we are talking about rainwater harvesting. It can be rainwater harvesting, planting saplings, right? Rejuvenating the forest or region, having vegetation, improving the vegetation. These are the two initiatives as of now. If any person is doing so far and it has been identified, and that person will be having or will be getting green credits. Green credits work something related to or similar to carbon credits. The very idea of carbon credits originated under Kyoto Protocol, if you remember. Kyoto Protocol, I think for batch 1 it is done, maybe the upcoming batch we are yet to do, but Kyoto Protocol is that is one COP wherein we understood about carbon credit. Carbon credit works like this. Every countries will be given certain credits, right? Anyway, we have in the place of Kyoto Protocol, we have Paris Agreement now. But under Kyoto Protocol, it was considered that every countries will be given certain credits, called as carbon credits. That is, to put a cap or a limitation, how much of carbon emission should be done by each country. So US will be given 100 carbon credits. India will be, just giving an example, 80 tons of carbon credit. So if US has been utilized already 100 tons and it wants it extra, or India wants extra for its developmental activities, like a stock market, they can buy these carbon credits. If at all they have excess, because of environmental programs, carbon credit was not at all utilized. Carbon, totally different from green credit, I'm telling you, quite the opposite, but the mechanism is same. Now, the India can sell it off or buy more. Likewise, here green credit in a similar way, under this green credits, specific environmental activities, especially what is that? Two activities: water conservation and afforestation will be considered, and it is considered as a tradable commodities. Green credit is a tradable commodity. I think under MCEX it can be traded up in green. I think green credit initiative also we have taken up in the previous sessions, if you remember. Quite again, it is repeated. That's all. Now it is launched at the global level. These green credits will be able to be sold on domestic market platforms. Domestic market, we are talking about like a stock market in India. Carbon is listed, enlisted under multi commodities exchange, and even green credit will also be listed. Carbon credit for putting a cap, identifying, trying to reduce the emission. Green credit is to people who are taking up the initiatives, and if they have done it, they will gain green credits and they will sell it as stock, as a commodity. So what is the main purpose here? The main purpose of this initiative is to boost voluntary environmental activities like tree plantation, water conservation, sustainable agriculture, and waste management by incentivizing it for big corporations, private companies, bringing about a change in the climate issues faced by the country. Basically, any countries, any corporations, any big corporations or a company, if they take up along with their business activity, if they take up tree plantation, water conservation, anything, waste management, recycling, and all that, they will be granted green credits and they can sell it off in the market. So this not only benefits their business, but also in a way tackle the global warming issue or climate issues faced. So it is an initiative. The same thing was launched in COP28. Clear with this? So this is green credit initiative, much more to come. But remember, green credit initiative is at the domestic level. Global green credit initiative was launched recently. Okay, so we might get more information on it in the future days. At least I hope you got an idea about this green credit initiative. So we'll just take a break for a few minutes. Then I'll continue with the other topics, some of the other topics. Okay. So we shall continue. Next, we can take up species in news. Actually, when we consider it as a domestic animal, but yet it matters because it's part of defense. It can be considered as defense news, and also knowing about the distribution of the animal. There can be a chance, if I remember very long back, question on double-humped camel has been asked, its distribution, its habitat, and all that. Let's look into the news. So in news, the army recently deployed double-humped camels for logistical support to the troops in eastern Ladakh. In eastern Ladakh region, this has been deployed. These camels are used now. So when we speak of Ladakh as a cold desert, we all know is home to the domesticated form of Bactrian camels, also known as double-humped camels. Both are one and the same. Bactrian camels and double-humped camels are one and the same. So it is an innovative means. Why did they do it? We will see. It is an innovative means for last mile delivery of critical load and mounted patrolling in sandy terrain of plateau. People are already using this, or what do you call as rearing these camels, Bactrian camels, for mounting loads or goods, daily goods on them. Because in this difficult terrain, depending upon the terrains, animals are used. No matter what, however we are advanced, and unless we have connectivity, we still fall back on nature. Even in Uttarakhand and Himachal, if you consider, donkeys are used, horses are used, cattle is being used, right? So still that is the mode of transportation, or at least logistics, not transportation, taking the goods, carrying the goods in the steeper valleys on the difficult terrain, that is there. Likewise, already people of Ladakh are using these. Looking at this, this is an idea wherein innovative means for to reach out to the every last mile, least or remotely connected areas, wherein they can supply this load, critical load in the sense arms and ammunitions, right? So mainly used for carrying goods, but also popular among tourists for safaris in Nubra Valley in the Union Territory of Ladakh. Usually Bactrian camels here, they are used for carrying goods, the people, localites. And in the Nubra Valley, for the tourist also, it is used for safaris. Safaris also, it's been used. So let's look into the details of this double-humped camel. So if there's a question asked, do we have the distribution of double-humped camel? Yes, we have. But initially what we look into it is, in India, we have camel species, different camel species. Once we think of camel, the immediate habitat that comes to our mind is desert. Here, this camel is used in cold desert of India. The camels, what we see in northwestern India, in Rajasthan, are totally different. Here we have double-humped camel, and the thickness, the fur is totally different. Thickness of the fur is totally different from the hot, dry desert camels. Even in India, if you consider, there is one more unique camel species which was already asked in exam: swimming camels, karai camel, they are called. So camel is one important species anyway, which can be asked in exam. So let's know about it better. Karai camel is also called a swimming camel. Only camels which can swim literally in the mangrove region of Gujarat. Okay, they are in Gujarat. They can swim in the mangrove region to reach up to the mangrove trees, and they feed on them. Very unique species in India. Okay, they can swim up to 3 kilometers in water. That is a total different breed. Here we are talking about that is single humped, one humped. Here it is double humped, which is also called as Bactrian camels. And the use of hump is to store fat. We know that in desert, we say hump is where they store water. Here it is store fat in order to withstand the cold terrain or the cold condition of Ladakh region. Basically, when we see the distribution and their origin, they are native to the harsh and arid regions of Central Asia. Central Asian region, that's why they're called as Bactrian region. So they occupy habitats in Central Asia from Afghanistan to China, primarily up into the Mongolian steppes and the Gobi Desert. Initially, they are acclimatized to Central Asian region, but today we can also see them or a small population of Bactrian camels also exist in Nubra Valley of Ladakh, only in Ladakh. They are smaller and more slender than one humped dromedary camels. Dromedary, in the sense we are talking about the desert camels found in Africa and Middle East. What we have in East Africa and Middle East, or even some species in India, camel species in India that is in desert, compared to them, these are small and slender. They are not like very tall and huge like what we see in desert. They are small. These are the things. And when we look into the coat or fur of this, in desert, in winter, the fur grows, it will be thicker, and they shed their coat also. That happens in many of the cold regions. Remember, this is also one of the important factor. It can be fox, Arctic fox, polar bear, in hair, or in the, especially in the Himalayan region, the color changes, the coat changes depending upon the seasonality. These animals in the cold regions are subjected to that morphological changes in order to adapt. They have evolved like that in order to adapt to different extreme conditions. Maybe question can go to the very basic biological aspect also, just telling this. Okay, morphological changes can happen. That is there. So coming back to news, army has deployed these camels for carrying the mounted loads or patrolling as well, which is quite apt. In that condition, no other animal would survive, and this is the right animal to use in army. So basically it is domesticated. Okay, next is the news on elephants. Anything associated with elephants will matter. So here it is the idea of, or what you call as the issue of a virus, that is herpes virus, which is called as endotheliotropic herpes virus, which can cause certain diseases in the elephants. And recently a study was made by Ministry of Science and Technology, and it is clear that Asian elephant population, these herpes virus subtypes is rise. It is on the rise, and in elephant, especially in India, especially in India, elephants die because of various reasons. Already habitat loss, there is a trouble habitat loss, hunting or poaching for the tusk, right? Or maybe a lack of water resources, human animal conflict, accidents. Last week we saw acts for accidents. We have an app by the Indian Railways. So already we have an issue, but this is one added issue we can say. So let's look into the news. What is this all about? Recently, the ICAR and plus the both institution, ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, and Indian Veterinary Institute Research Institute, ICAR and IVRI in Izzat Nagar in Bareilly in UP, has found the exact status of elephant endotheliotropic herpes virus subtypes and its subtypes circulating among Asian elephant population in India. So here the news is regarding finding out the exact status. That means this virus has been circulating or been spreading even before this. This is not the first time they have identified. As of now, the status, what is the exact status? How many types and subtypes have been circulating? How many are affected? How it is affected? A study has been made. A collaborative study has been made. So the increased mortality of elephant calves due to hemorrhagic disease, brain hemorrhage, we say hemorrhagic disease, noticed in captivity as well as in free range in India is a cause of concern. Now, the next point is regarding this virus. Is it affecting only the wild elephants or also the captive elephants, which are domesticated elephants, which is in temple or maybe in reserve forest, etc.? Both the species, or what do you call, sorry, both the categories, whether it is wild elephants as well as captive elephants, this herpes virus have become a cause of concern. So definitely, again, speaking of elephants, it's a very important area from the UPSC perspective. Anything and everything related to elephants, we should keep a tab on it. That is the reason we are discussing about this news. Okay, let's see other details about this. So what is this elephant endotheliotropic herpes virus? So it is as of now, it is a moderately understood emerging disease which can cause a high fatal hemorrhagic disease when transmitted to young Asian elephants. So it is because of virus. Though treatable, it is treatable with an early diagnosis and with the rapid application of antiviral drugs. This has only been effective in around a third of cases. A third of cases, that means 1/3 of the elephants, only early diagnosis are being made, immediately treated with n number of antiviral drugs for herpes virus. Only then it is treated, only in the early diagnosis. If it is not treated in the early diagnosis, it will lead to death. Even herpes is actually a deadly or a fatal disease in human beings also. So this is related to elephants. Okay, so this has already been there in the from the when there are symptoms in elephants. When it has been identified, immediately if the diagnosis are being made, antiviral drugs are given. If it is not what do you call is identified, what about wild elephants? Unless they're surveilled upon or monitored upon, we may never know what happened to them. Correct. So this is a concern today when it comes to elephant deaths in India. This is also one of the reasons. So we'll see some of the key points. It is a double-stranded DNA virus. Talking about the virus that is classified in the family Herpes viridae. So it causes acute fatal hemorrhagic disease in wild and captive juvenile Asian and African elephants. Both are affected. It is lethal for young elephants between the ages of 1 and 12. Basically, most of the young elephants are greatly affected under this virus because of this virus. The disease is usually fatal with a short course of 28 to 35 hours. Once it is affected, there are chances wherein within 28 to 35 hours, within 2 or 3 days, there are chances of death. Or it can be, if not death, it can turn into dangerous stage. So how does it transmit? So direct contact with the body fluids of infected elephants, already where this virus has been infected. If there's direct contact, obviously elephants will be having a direct contact, because when you see the point here, young elephants are affected. The feeding activity, right? Feeding activity, the cuddling activity, going along with the mother, the calves going along with the mother, or the cow elephants, what do you call? So because of this, young elephants are greatly affected between the ages of 1 and 12, right? So infected elephants with the saliva shedding from the skin lesions, the wound, or etc., that would get transferred to the other elephants. What are the symptoms? How do we identify this virus? Some elephants show symptoms such as reduced appetite, they do not eat anything, nasal discharge would happen, and swollen glands. Understanding this, that would be understand it has been attacked by this herpes virus. Treatment, it includes a combination of antiviral therapy, aggressive fluid therapy, immunostimulant drugs. So many drugs have to be given, or selenium and vitamin C and E has to be injected, and all this, basically all possible therapy in the initial stages, once it is diagnosed, has to be injected. Else there is a possibility wherein what do you call as it can be greatly affected. Now there is no true cure for herpes virus in animals or in humans also, because the virus go latent. It is very difficult to identify them. Only in the initial stages it is possible. Now coming back to the news today, that is a concern regarding how elephants have been affected through herpes virus. And when you write any answers, can this also be a threat to elephants? Definitely yes. Not always poaching and habitat loss. This is also a primary reason that we can see in India today. Okay. So moving on, we will talk about the protected areas in news. Satpura Tiger Reserve. Satpura Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh. Actually, it is a combination of art and culture news and environmental news. So, in a key archaeological finding, the Forest Department of Satpura Tiger Reserve recently found a rock painting dating back to 10,000 years in Madhya Pradesh, Narmadapuram. So the focus should be given on Satpura Tiger Reserve. We have a Satpura National Park also. We will see in detail, because the question is asked on giving description about the protected area, and then the questions are imposed. So we will see some details about Satpura Tiger Reserve. Anyway, this rock painting and all, most of the, throughout the year we see in one or the other way. You should be knowing Madhya Pradesh tiger reserves, because so far we have 7 tiger reserves in Madhya Pradesh. Actually 6 we had, 7th being the latest one, that is Virangana Durgavati Tiger Reserve, latest being added. So Madhya Pradesh has 7 tiger reserve, wherein Satpura is one among them. Okay, the news, let us complete it. The habitat, we can see because of the paintings on the rock painting here. Habitat is also an important testimony to human evolution, as it houses more than 50 rock shelters in the same Satpura Tiger Reserve, the forest area. We can see we have rock shelters, rock painting, etc. in this region. That is one part of the art and culture. But let us focus on Satpura Tiger Reserve. let's look into the location here. You can see here it is all about national parks, but Satpura Tiger Reserve is part of Satpura National Park. Tiger Reserve is part of National Park. You can see the ranges. We have Vindhya ranges on the north of Satpura National Park, and Narmada Valley. Again, Satpura National Park is located in the southern part of Narmada River. These descriptions are very, very important, and you can also see the other protected areas in different parts. Okay, here, and we have Michael Range, Mahadeo, right, Rajpipla, Aravali Range. This Madhya Pradesh region is very, very important, because if you know some idea about the geographical areas, geographical aspects, at least with 1 or 2 sentences, you can come to an understand, because the pattern is such now. Entire description and question has been asked. Let's look into Satpura Tiger Reserve and its features here. Okay. So it is located in Satpura ranges of central Indian landscape, that is in Madhya Pradesh. It lies south of the river Narmada, as we saw in the map. Satpura, basically meaning 7 folds, forms a watershed between Narmada and Tapti rivers in triangular in shape. Okay, so it is part of the Deccan biogeographic zone of India. This is important because in India, maybe if you have discussed, if you can recollect, India is a mega diverse country. India is a mega diverse country. What are the justifications? We usually say this: India has 2 realms. Those I have already taken class, you'll be having an idea. Those who have not done this, don't worry about it. Just listen to it as of now. So India has 2 realms. India has 5 biomes. India has 10 biogeographic zones. 10. India has 25 biogeographic provinces. We are talking about one of the biogeographic zones. So Satpura range is part of Deccan biogeographic zone. It is nothing but India has 10 zones where it is being classified on the basis of climate, topography, soil profile, etc. The Deccan part is the largest one, wherein the Deccan area, Deccan Peninsula, the southern part, the peninsular region, becomes one zone, wherein central India, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, eastern India, everything become one zone. So this Satpura range or Satpura Tiger Reserve is part of Deccan biogeographic zone. And also, again, Pachmarhi Biosphere Reserve. Again, I have already taken the class, you'll be having an idea. We have discussed this. Pachmarhi Biosphere Reserve is a biosphere reserve which consists of various protected areas, and one of the protected area is Satpura Tiger Reserve. Satpura Tiger Reserve, Satpura National Park. Within the national park, we have Tiger Reserve. The biosphere reserve is a large area. So all these matters, all these basic details matter. Is a part of biosphere reserve, which river flows, which landscape and all that. One might get perplexed, like how many we have to learn. So many are there. How will we remember? Need not worry about it. It is only about revision. The more you hear a lot about it, repetitively hear about it, it is easier. So don't worry, how will I remember? Take that negative aspect. Just think that I will be able to remember because I am going to hear it a lot of times, because of my revision, because of the classes, because of the news, etc. Okay, as it when it comes, just go through it. You'll be able to remember. Okay, then 26 species of Himalayan region and 42 species of Nilgiri area are found. That is species in the sense we are talking about the combination of the vegetation. Some plants which grow in Himalayan region are found here. Some plants which grow in Nilgiris are also found here. So Satpura Tiger Reserve is also known as the northern extremity of the Western Ghats. The northern stretch, what we have is Satpura range, Satpura Tiger Reserve. Just keep that in mind. Maybe question can be asked. This particular tiger reserve is the northern extremity of the Western Ghats. Description can be given. Now, fauna. When we speak of fauna, what all wild animals we have here? We have a tiger, we have leopard, spotted deer, sambar. One thing you can see that wherever tiger is there, sambar will also be there, because that is the main prey base for tiger. Then barking deer, chausinga, like barasinga we have chausinga. Indian gaur, blue bull, that is nilgai, jungle cat, birds, reptiles and fishes. That is what we have in Satpura Tiger Reserve. Okay. Then the next one is regarding climate club. again, COP28 only, how many news, I mean, how many aspects we are coming, we are encountering under COP28. It just goes on, okay? At last, we will filter it out, which is important from the exam perspective, but no harm in knowing about it. What if there's a question on climate club? Okay. So recently, the climate club was formally launched at the 28th conference, COP28 of UNFCCC. The club is committed to efforts in developing strategies and standards for decarbonization. Nothing but decarbonization is nothing but reducing the carbon or limiting the carbon emission. So what is this club actually is? For us, first question comes in whether India is part of it or not. Very important. That is what we have to look into. Let's look into it, whether it is part of it or not. So the club is claimed to currently represents 55% of the global economy. Germany has unveiled it. Okay, Germany has launched it, like India has launched green credit program. Likewise, Germany has unveiled climate club to tackle industrial emissions. Let's see who are part of this, representatives of this climate club. The climate club is led by Germany and Chile. Remember, led by Germany and Chile, the countries. The club has garnered support from 36 member countries, including Kenya, the European Union, Switzerland, and others. What we can see is mostly the country comprises of G7 countries plus other countries. So it is the initiative of one of the G7 countries, that is Germany. So it aims to make decarbonization of industries successful for climate and businesses through ambitious policies, alignment of methodologies and standards. It is all looks technical, just I'm reading it for you. And improving finance and assistance for the emerging and developed economies. The idea here is focus is on only term you remember, decarbonization of industries. Climate club focuses on decarbonization of industries. Then what happens? Alignment of methodology, standards, improving finance, assistance given to emerging and developed economies, not developing, developed economies. So they are doing for their own, because these are the countries wherein they are part of higher or major global emissions, carbon emissions. So they are trying to decarbonize, trying to make sure that industries are emitting less amount of carbon. So the club's core idea, we will see what is the core idea. It is based on the fact that the hard to abate means hard to stop, or hard to tackle, abate means hard to tackle, sectors including steel, cement, and chemicals. Today, at the global level, steel industry, chemical industry, cement industry are responsible for 70% of the global carbon dioxide emissions from the industries, and developed countries account for a significant share of these emissions. So they are focusing on these sectors in order to reduce it, make sure that because of some scientific technology, trying to reduce the emission of carbon. So clearly it says India is not a part of it, not even India. Remember, make a note of it. India and China both are not part of it as of now. It's only the highly industrialized countries. So the two co-chairs will be elected for 2-year terms for the club. Currently, Germany and Chile serves as the co-chairs. These are the ones who started it. They are the ones who will be chairing it. So nothing to do with India, but still remember the terminology, that is climate club. Okay. Then international relations. What did India do in COP28 again? India-Sweden relations. Recently, India and Sweden launched the leadership group for industry transition during the COP28 hosted in Dubai. The launch of the India-Sweden Industry Transition Partnership. So here, there's a program called as Lead IT 2.0, the second version. The partnership Lead IT 2.0 is led by India and Sweden. Okay, so it aims at addressing the challenges faced by heavy emitting industries. So many news you'll get in COP28. So as I told you, we can filter it out later once the meeting is ended. Okay. Having the takeaways from the entire meeting. Heavy emitting industries. So the Lead IT initiative centered around pivotal sectors such as iron, steel, cement, and aluminium, focused on industry transition and knowledge sharing. So what is this all about? Now, India and Sweden has come together for a program called as Lead IT. That means they are focusing on certain industries such as iron, steel, and cement. What are they doing here? industry transition and knowledge sharing. Here the focus is not like the climate club decarbonizing. Here sharing knowledge sharing, transition, or what we call as technical know-how we call. So that has been shared so that both grow together. And we can see since its inception, so it started in 2019, so it is a second version 2.0. Okay, so lead IT has grown into collaborative effort involving 18 countries and 20 industry leading companies, but it is led by India and Sweden. So the core areas are inclusive. I'm just reading it for you. Don't worry about the extended or technical details about it. All you have to know is the awareness of the terminologies. These are the three core areas. Inclusive and just industry transition, I'll explain it to you. Low carbon technology, development and transfer, emerging economy and technology transfer. What we can see, the primary idea in here is technology transfer, innovation, understanding innovation. What Sweden follows, India is trying to collaborate with it and implement here, and taking the help of a technical know-how of the Sweden, because Sweden is one of the most advanced countries, especially when it comes to technology. So that is why this collaboration. There are other countries also being a part of it, but these are the two countries, India and Sweden. Lead IT 2.0. Okay. Then places in news, the last one. KRA isthmus. I'm not keeping quite well, so I'm like pushing myself. I'll just wind up with this last topic. Okay, so a transit artery that links the two bodies of water could have global ramifications for international trade and security, similar to the Suez and Panama canals in 19th and 20th centuries. What does this mean? Let me explain it to you. There is a isthmus, what we call it is a formation, land formation, again a water area. So KRA isthmus is a location in the Bay of Bengal region, or the southern India or Southeast Asia, we can say. So how Suez and Panama canals worked like a link, like an artery in the 19th and 20th century. Suez in Middle East, Panama in North America and South America. Likewise, this KRA isthmus can interlink two bodies of water, which will be having global ramifications. That is what's seen in the news. Now, in November 2023, the Thailand's Prime Minister officially pitched a multi-billion-dollar land bridge project. Just started it, where in the KRA isthmus at the third Belt and Road Summit in Beijing. Belt and Road, BRI. What is that? China's Belt and Road Initiative, Belt and Road Summit. Recently, Thailand participated in it. And we also saw in the news that Italy recently came out of BRI. Italy was one of the Western countries which were part of BRI. It had an exit recently. Keep that also in mind. Anyway, there was a meeting held. Thailand Prime Minister announced that there will be a land bridge project. They'll be taking it KRA isthmus. So here, what is this? Where is it exactly? And why are we bothered about it? We have to look into it. Let's look into the location first, then you'll understand in detail. There's a place, Isthmus of KRA. We know that usually the trade route, the conventional trade route is Strait of Malacca, which is dotted with a blue line, which you can clearly see. Strait of Malacca is one of the most busy shipping route which passes through this southern India, in the Indian Ocean, and connects to China or the Southeast Asian countries, right? So Thailand has it participated, and this Isthmus of KRA is in Thailand or near the Gulf of Thailand, wherein the Thailand Prime Minister, as a part of this Belt and Road Initiative, because China, they are part of China, they have participated in China's summit, BRI summit. So here it has launched, just mentioned, we are going to have a multi-billion project. Why it matters to India? Because we have Andaman Sea there. We have our two union territories, or the union territory, we have Andaman and Nicobar Island. And already most of us, or most of the times when we speak of Nicobar recently, Great Nicobar Infrastructure Project is also seen in news. So the criticism that was drawn on this project was loss of forest, threat to biodiversity and all that, because it's a small tiny island, and government wants to take up this Great Nicobar infrastructure project, and the plantation is done somewhere in Haryana, somewhere in other states and all that. So ecologically disastrous, but still, why are we doing this? Strategically important, because we can see the developments that is happening because of China and allied countries along with China. What are they doing it along with this? So this can be a blow for India's maritime trade, and also can be a checkpoint, a strategic point wherein China could use Thailand in this region. Of course, one thing is there wherein it can reduce the time, because it is very what do you call as distanced one, but this can reduce the time, and it can make it the shipping traffic can be reduced. But there are other implications as well. So it is part of international relations. Should remember this. You can connect the Great Nicobar infrastructure project. You can connect the Belt Road Initiative of China, and also Strings of Pearl, which we usually call, right, strings of pearl, what do you call as the operation of China. All these are interconnected here. But apart from that, places in news, simply the geographical question on the location on the spot can be asked. Isthmus of Kra is between where? What is it, isthmus? That kind of questions can be asked. So let's look into it. Hope you got the idea here. See, connecting to Hong Kong in China, right? So Kra Isthmus is in fact located on the Malay Peninsula in Thailand, 44-kilometer wide, that's all, as its narrowest point, bordered by Andaman Sea to its west, Gulf of Thailand to its east. This side we have Andaman Sea, the other side we have Gulf of Thailand. And this is the strategic point one is considering it. And an isthmus is a narrow strip of land that connects two larger land masses and is bordered by water on two sides. The definition of isthmus, that is, connects two larger land, you can see larger land on either side, and bordered by water on two sides, Andaman Sea and Gulf of Thailand. That is the definition. So it is Thai Canal, the project launched by Thailand under BRI summit. And how it affects India, because Indian shipping routes or the strategic infrastructure project of India and Nicobar, all this can be checked upon. It is a strategic checkpoint we can consider. So this is what we have today. So hope you followed at least 14 topics we discussed. Every week we'll be discussing 14 to 15 topics. So try to revise it. Try to revise whatever PDF you get. The more you revise, you will be more confident enough to answer. Okay. So add your reading session also with current affairs. So once you know too many topics, you will be more confident, and take up tests also. So it will be helpful. So any questions you have, you can ask, or else we can wind up the session. Anything? Any questions? You can go on. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next class, possibly with more topics. Okay. Meanwhile, revise well. Okay. See you in the next class. Take care. Thank you.